UX in gaming, it's not just about making things look pretty. It's about making sure that everything feels right for the player. A game can have stunning graphics and a great story, but if the UX is bad, players won't stick around.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Antidote's brand new podcast. In this series, we'll be discussing everything about game UX, including user research, playtesting, and game design. Every episode will offer practical tips, share knowledge, and discuss experiences that you can apply to your own projects, hopefully. We'll be posting the sessions bi-weekly, so make sure to stay tuned for the future episodes where we'll break down key topics, challenge ideas, share insights from the real life case studies. Okay, that's the formalities out of the way. Today, we're tackling a big topic, which is what makes or breaks a game from a UX perspective. And to break it all down, we have an amazing lineup for me today, including Joanne, Vicky, and Lucy, three incredible UX researchers at Antidote who have worked on some amazing projects, big titles, and bring a lot of experience to the table. So with all that said, let's get straight into it. Mr. Joan, as the lead researcher at Antidote, I'm afraid I have to put you on the spot to kick off the discussion. I'm sorry. But let's start with the basics. UX is a big buzzword in the gaming industry, getting thrown around a lot. But in your view, how does UX actually contribute to making a great game? And what key areas it tries to improve?
Thanks, Olive. The UX you said it's gaming. I think it's for all the products in the world. At the end, it's providing a good experience to the final user. In this case, that we are talking about gaming, it's about offering the player a nice experience since they're buying the game, since they complete it, and afterwards, it's not just playing and while I'm just pressing all the buttons. It's like the experience. It's all the process, all the journey. But yeah, it's true that we are more focused on once they are playing the game. That's the playtesting part that we work for. And yeah, what does improve at the end, as any person would like to have when they are using a product, it's to enjoy the time that they are spending with that product. In this case, if we talk with video games, it's having a nice experience in terms of could be the history, the mechanics, the graphics, all the process, being able to start playing since moment zero, to be able to play on their own, no need to know without any help, any guidance. So I think that the idea of providing a good user experience, it's providing the player independent and enjoyable history in the game. A nice time, let's say it this way, in a more generic way.
I'll add on this. I think it's UX in gaming. It's not just about making things look pretty. It's about making sure that everything feels right for the player. A game can have stunning graphics and a great story, but if the UX is bad, players won't stick around.
All right, so I will jump in. So good UX also ensures that challenges feel rewarding rather than frustrating. So the story of the game should have like emotional impact, and the game should have clear instructions and be as intuitive as possible so that players don't get lost and have like this like a smooth navigation and clear objectives and well-paced progression through the game.
Now that you mentioned this, I think the word frustration, I understand it, but when talking with video games, it's not like a linear product or that someone has use it the same way. So the word frustration for me, it's not ideal because when we talk about video games, we have in mind Mario's, Sonic's, Call of Duty, Fortnite, stuff like that. But also there's games like Elden Ring, Dark Souls, that frustration, it's part of them. So the technical part here, I think it
should be challenging, but not frustrating, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Yeah, for me, I think it's more the wording. I'm not a very good player of Elden Ring. I enjoy the frustration in that part, but yeah, there's always a limit.
A good frustration.
Exactly.
If it happens, if the world exists.
Exactly.
So perfect. So from what I understood, again, because I'm a neutral in this, I'm not UX researcher, so it's great to hear your insights about this. But the goal of UX in the shell is not to make everything look pretty, like Lucy said, but it's to pretty much improve player experience, right? That's the main goal of it, from what I understood.
Exactly. At the end user experience, it's the way to say it, but if you go to a specific at the end user, it's a player, it's a client, it's a customer. So it's improving their, as you said, the experience, their journey using a product, in this case, video games.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there are different areas that UX in gaming improves, such as the onboarding experience that should be natural and progressing for the player. It shouldn't be like from nothing to a huge difficulty. It should be progressive with cues and as they go, they learn the things they have to do in the game. As well, they need feedback. It can be haptic feedback or visual cues for players to know that they are actually performing the control, the action they want to do. As well, the cognitive, we need to take care of the cognitive load as well. Games should challenge players, like we said before, but not overload them with too much information at once.
And yeah, you said the onboarding it's critical, but at the end, it's all the parts that the player can interact with the game. It's a point that it can be improved. The menus also, as Lucy said, the feedback, the visual feedback, it's very important because if you don't provide players with the indications, the information they need, as she said, just a single feedback visual or the control with the haptic suggestions, it's something that the player can be lost, and for there it might be critical for him. It's not only that one point, it's all the interactions that the user can have with a product with a game. It always has room for improvement.
Perfect. So we discussed about what is UX overall in gaming and the best applications for it. But I had another question for you guys. So we talked about the best practices, but in your experience, what are the most common mistakes, UX mistakes studios make that directly can hurt player engagement?
So I want to add something here. So usually devs think that the way they think is also the way that players think. So this is like the first and foremost the biggest mistake, because the experience that someone has developing it and the feelings that it has for the game is not the same way that players are going to receive the game and give feedback to it. So first thing is like step aside a little bit of the game and try to figure out which things are really working like smoothly and which things need to be improved. And for that, playtests are so important because it's the only way we can know which things are actually working, are actually easy to understand, actually like yeah.
Also here, as you said, there's the developer studios take a lot of decisions that should be taken from the user point of view, but we all always have this dilemma. We work in an industry. It's just a product. Everyone is looking to have some benefits. So it's difficult to find the balance between the commercial part and the experience part. Many studios have this issue. There are many others that always put the player in advance. I think that's important point of view, because at the end, if someone's going to buy your game, it's important to have them in advance and not forget the commercial part. Maybe I'm being too idealistic here or more in the UX point of view, but I think it's always to have these both points on mind when suggesting, when taking decisions. There's always something that it's more important than the other, but it's finding the right moment and the right place. And many times it's not well balanced. It's more on the commercial part, and it's more focused on making benefit, ignoring the UX because it's too costly, and they end up not doing playtests until the last moment, and that's too late. I think one of the biggest also issues it's that just waiting for the last moment that, okay, I have the game 90% done. Let's do some quick playtests. Let's see what we can polish, and that's all. And then you see that the game it's not enjoyable. It has a lot of many issues with topics that we said, the boarding, the menus, the feedback, and players don't get the game. And it's because they delayed too much the playtesting instead of starting from the beginning. At the end, I think that playtest can be done from the first moment that you are thinking of the game with the concept. You can start already validating things, in this case with the player, and to make sure that all the steps are going to the correct direction.
And I think that playtesting should be not only internally, because I know that devs usually test internally with their own team, but playtesting should be with real players, with your real target audience, and watch real players play your game without helping them. That will help us identify the pain points of the game.
Exactly. Family and friends are not players. They won't say, they won't say the truth.
Exactly.
There are a lot of other type of playtests that some developers or companies don't address. For example, there are concept testing, which is like having the concept of the game tested to see if players, before even like play the game, they like the concept of the game. So this is a really good way to like see if the game before it start being developed has potential. So it doesn't need to be like completely finished to be tested. You can start from the beginning and start testing it with players to see like if you're going in the right track.
So you mentioned playtesting multiple times. So would you say it's one of the best methods to like spot potential UX issues within the game?
Of course, yes. And we do it here at Antidote. So
that's we work on playtesting. but I think playtesting it's like generic way to say that validate the game, validate the play. There's so more to part of the playtesting. You can have the first time user experience, focus it on the boarding. You can have a walkthroughs of all the game. You can have only mechanics playtesting just to validate certain mechanics of game with empty walk. So it's just testing the only thing that it's in the game.
Mm-hmm. At any stage of the game, playtesting can be done.
You mentioned a couple of different types of playtests and that it can be done throughout the game. But what are the most common ones that like clients or game devs opt for?
I think that the most requested ones, it's first one, the first time user experience, making sure that the player can start playing on their own a game, that they get the concepts, they get the mechanics, the history of the game, if there is some history and stuff like that. Because just talking about the game itself, not all the journey of buying and all that stuff, it's the first point of contact with that experience. So you want to make sure that from that moment, players can enjoy, can know, can continue their journey, the adventure, and that it's not a stopper for them. Imagine that you spend 60 euros in one game, and then minute 5 you don't know how to continue. That's frustrating. The word that we were using before, the bad frustration, not the good one. So that's the important point, that the first thing that you see, it's enjoyable. And the other, the walkthrough, that it's like the whole experience altogether. It's from start to the end, how the experience is, how can it be improved. It's enjoyable, it's engaging, it's playable also, because the basic has to be playable, then enjoyable.
I see. And I had a question because you mentioned, different type of playtests to uncover certain things, but I'm guessing also it will depend on the type of game, right? Because different game will have different potential issues. But can you name a few examples of the things that the playtest can uncover that can potentially like change, the initial concept that can improve the game or eliminate the bad frustration for the players?
Yeah, I don't think there's like different type of tests for different type of games. It's adapting. At the end, there's the methodologies are applied in gaming, are applied in web development, are applied in the fonts design, stuff like that. It's interviews, it's interactions, it's using the product to see. At the end, you have the testing, the tasks that you have to do to the player in terms of things that we have seen. One of the tests we have done this last year, it was just, as I said, an empty room, just testing the gun feel of shooting. It was just no movement almost, just targets and see what feel better, what type of weapons, what type of recall. And this is also part of the playtesting. Although it just can be 10 minutes just playing around, it's important that this feeling is also well designed, that it's enjoyable and it's for the player.
Yeah, I wanted to add that, for example, there are a lot of features that you can use in a playtest that will let you to notice if there are any issues like really visible to see. For example, if you are recording the playtest, like with a gameplay recording, I guess, you can see, for example, how much time does like an onboarding or a tutorial get like the user to finish it. Sometimes you can see there how much long does it take them to finish, or how difficult it is for them to complete like a mission or like to get a reward. So that's like a way for them to notice if this is like challenging in a bad way for them, or if there are some mechanics that are not working as expected when they test it. Sometimes all the things that they do in a playtest, for example, in a video, they are visible, but the players could be thinking a lot of other things in their mind. So doing a survey after the playtest is a good way to see how much other things they can share or give feedback about it.
And adding to that, think out loud comments, I think, are really useful because players are busy playing, and most of them they want to express their thoughts, and that's something that we can have information on the spot on what the player is thinking, feeling, or struggling with.
Regarding with the thing aloud and gameplays, many clients that we have, it's that they tell us, "Oh no, no need for gameplay. We have the analytics." And that for us, it's enough. And when you start doing the playtest and then you just check the results, it's like, yeah, you have information. That's for sure, you have information. But we have other information. We have the gameplay, you have the analytics. And sometimes it's like, we know that something is happening here because players take too long to complete this mission. But with the campaign, it's a more detailed playtesting and tasks. You can see what is exactly the issue. And from there, it's where you can continue. So for those that say that analytics are enough, I don't think so. There's also always the other part that says, oh, you don't need analytics when you have gameplays. And that's also, I think, not 100% true, because if you don't have analytics, you don't know what the issues are. And if you only have gameplays, there's a lot of content to watch that maybe 50%, 60, 70, or 30%, it's just a gamer playing naturally and correctly. So I think the correct way, it's a good balance, that having both things to understand what it needs, where are the issues.
You mentioned a few examples from the playtest of what might happen, but I think the question that our audience and myself actually will have, I know that you did a lot of projects for Antidote over the years, thousands between you. Could you please share some specific examples of any playtest where the UX changes that you suggested, like kind of led to client, changing either the tutorial where you mentioned the onboarding that actually like helped?
Yeah, recently I won't say names because that's the typical thing that we are not sure always if we can say or not. But again, that it's been released in the past, I think, 4 or 5 months. I would say that there were two things that changed from the feedback that we provide. It was a game, as I said before, that it was tested at the last minute, so there was no much room for improvement. But one was the difficulty of the combats with the bosses, because it was a typical thing that it was never tested with a real player, and it was a very standard difficulty game, but then the bosses were too difficult or very, very easy. So we helped balance that difficulty, providing with, I think, a total of 60 to 100 players playing the game, and found the perfect balance. And also there was in the same game, the typical things where you have to jump to the next platform, and you don't have the visual cues. And the visual cues were very confusing with the environment. So it was something that highlighted. And I think that it was difficult to change because the design department didn't want to, but I think they did some small changes to help the playtest, at least the more critical ones, not all the steps, but there were 2 or 3 changes that maybe it's a small change, but for the player, from what we saw, it was just players being idling for 10 minutes without knowing what to do to be able to complete the playtest. Yeah, and this is more the specific ones that we also can say that typical, from the boarding to long to short, not showing exactly that the new balance. I don't know if Lucy and Victoria have any other specific ones in mind.
One of the things that I see often in our playtests is the feedback of players saying that the gameplay loop is kind of repetitive. So I think this repetitiveness is something that, of course, it's quite huge in UX, because, of course, we need to have players engaged in order to have the better experience. And some of the suggestions we did to this project was increasing the difficulty or adding more content, of course, and variety in terms of room, area, and enemy types that will enhance the player engagement. Of course, this is a lot of work to be done to add to the game, but we are here to keep the players entertained and to have the best experience possible.
We have a lot of clients, and we also here in Antidote, we have different type of backgrounds. And we try to give suggestions many times, but many times it's like, I'm not sure if I should be giving these suggestions or not, because at the end, we are not the game designers. We don't have all the information of what's the actual direction, or sometimes we just play a partial part of the game. So when I provide some type of suggestions in terms of more direction game design, it's like, I don't know if I should be saying that or yes.
Would it be red? Would it be important for them?
Also that it's okay for them that I suggest something to their game, because some developers, it's like, no, it's my game. It's been done how I want. Yeah, my baby. And I don't want anyone to touch it. And they don't get mad, but it's like, okay, you don't know what you're talking. You can erase all that information. And there's others that say, oh yeah, that's perfect. Give me suggestions. But if they start requesting a lot of suggestions, it's like, I don't know the game or your direction that you want to take with this game. I could say just the typical example, put a headpack in the game. And because I say it in the UX report, you will add it. But it's not like we are providing the final word. It's like, okay, from what we have seen, this is an issue. Maybe this is a solution, or maybe not. But I don't know if you have the same issue, Lucy and Victoria, that can I say this? Can I not say it? Should I rephrase it or put it more simple because that's too specific?
Yes, I think it's kind of a helping hand, maybe, or a guide or a guidance to them. In the end, of course, it's their goal, what they'll do with their baby, with their game. So, yeah, I think it's okay to have it, and it's their decision in the end. Of course, we've seen many games, and we've seen what's working and what's not.
I mean, at the end, the clear objective or goal of a game is like how people playing it. So if you do a playtest and you don't like the results or the things that you want to change because you are too attached to the idea and the way the game is the game is constructed, built, and if you release it and it doesn't have much success, then it's on you because you decided to keep the things as they were. And the playtest objective is, as we said, and try to detect which things are working, which are not, in order to make the experience more satisfying for players.
So from listening all of your discussion and points, so basically from what I understood, if game studios decide to ignore UX completely in their game development process, it's not going to go well, right? There's a high chance it's not going to do well.
Exactly. At the end, testing in terms of analyzing and checking the game, it's really important. We have seen games for all the years being released with many issues in terms of UX, and it are completely flops. And that's because they are designing with no end user in mind, or an ideal, or they are their own end user, and that's the thing, that they are not the final user. The final user are the ones that will buy the game, that will play, that will decide that, hey, this is a good game, I want to play, and they enjoy it at the end. Because nowadays that you can refund games on all the platforms, not as some years ago. If you don't enjoy it, you can just request the money back, and after 1 hour playing. And from my experience playing for many years, in 30 minutes, you already know that you will enjoy or not a game. So that's one of the critical points that we said before. It's most important one would be the first user experience, not because there's the whole experience is like, no, because that's the first point of contact with something that is the first time that you're playing with. So that's the critical part.
We've seen games that probably hasn't been play tested enough and are released, and we've seen all the problems that they can occur with players complaining and giving bad feedback. And at the end, if it was not play tested, if it was not tested with your real players and adjusted, whatever it needs, it will go completely wrong to you in the end, because players won't buy your game, they won't play your game, and all the efforts you put into your game will go to nothing.
Yeah. And in the other side, I have an example of a game that was tested more than once, and I have like the comparison between the two tests, and I can really see the improvement from the first test, and how, for example, the mechanics were improved, and this was like a build game, so the things were easy to build in this game, and the visuals were also improved, and the UI. So with if you be objective with your game and have like an open mind to it, you can really improve it in order to players to enjoy it better.
Yeah, at the end, I think that's the word, to enjoy the game. And I think we are talking a lot of the experience with the control in hand, like onboarding and stuff like that. But one thing that it's important to mention, as we said, the experience, it's the whole process of interacting with this product, with this game. And yeah, we are focusing more on this interaction with the controller, the keyboard, with the touch screen of the mobile. But there's other parts that can affect a play experience, like more the technical part of the game, like long loading scenes that the player has to be waiting in front of the TV. Also, servers that crash every 5 minutes because they're not handling correctly the amount of players and stuff like that. And this is things that also have to be tested and have to be checked, because as I said, it's not just I'm playing the gameplay. Oh, pause loading. I forget that I'm playing this game. No, if it takes 30 minutes to find a match in a game, probably I will quit the game and I will start playing another game. At least it's what I do. I don't want to be spending 30 minutes enjoying and not have too much time to play. I don't want to be wasting my time just waiting or loading screens, stuff like that. And as I said from the beginning, the user experience is from the moment that you buy the product, or even before, when you are just thinking about buying that, until you complete it or forget that you have it on the Steam library or any library. And it's all the context. yes, as I said, we are focused more in the in-game, but all affects on this journey.
I think the journey continues even after it's been released because, of course, devs playtest the game, they do all the relevant changes, and then it gets released. And players still have feedback, and we want players to be happy and to continue being engaged in the game. So I think paying attention to, in a general view, right, to what players say, even after it was released, it's something really helpful that will continue your game to be online for a longer period of time.
As Lucy said earlier, it's important that the game doesn't get repetitive. So players sometimes play too much to a game and then they need new updates to be more engaged. So that's why we need to keep testing and improving what we are doing, because the game doesn't likes to sit like in the same place that it begins. So it's good to keep testing and keep trying new things when releasing our games.
And adding new content.
Adding new content, of course.
Yeah, regarding the adding new content, and once the game is released, I don't know if it's opening a new topic, but it's related to this.
Podcast number 4.
But I was going to say, like, how does this early access things, do you think, how does it affect the user experience? Because many times there's a early access that the game is almost complete, or at the end, or it's 10% developed, playable. And this is something that, as you said, when it's released, the game is still updating and stuff like that. I don't know if it's the moment or you want to discuss it for the next day. The importance of delivering something, selling something that it's finished, not something that will be finished once you buy it. Because we have seen many games that, in terms of experience, as I said, delivering a game that unfinished, like Cyberpunk, like how do you call it? No Man's Sky, that were released, and the experience was really bad because it wasn't finished. But it's been, I think, 6 years since No Man's Sky, and 4 since Cyberpunk, and now the reviews are very positive because the game is enjoyable. But as I said before, the technical part, the moment it was released, it was not. So I want to open this topic. I don't know if now or another day, but
you can leave it open.
Yeah, I will leave it. We can read the listeners.
What do you think? Write in the comments.
Yeah, we read in the comments.
Yeah. What will be the question? Because I got lost in everything. What will be the summary of the question?
How does it affect the experience of the player selling a game that it's not finished or an early access state? Is it something that it's critical for them, for the players, in terms of the experience? I think it's not related to playtesting, but as I said, experience is experience, and we're talking about gaming. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
All right.
Rocks in the next.
Yes. Well, yeah. I would love to speak more. You know me, guys. I can speak to you for another 9 hours. Well, it's been an amazing first discussion, in my opinion. I really enjoyed talking to you guys. Today we talked about what makes or breaks a game from a UX perspective, the good, the bad, everything in between. Thank you for providing so many details, examples. It was very insightful to hear. A huge thanks to Joan, Lucy, and Vicky for joining us today. It's been an awesome chat, guys. And of course, thanks to everyone listening. If you enjoyed this, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more episodes. Where we'll keep on discussing more game UX related topics. And like the guy said earlier, if you want to ask them any questions or hear about something specific, just leave it in the comments. If not comments, LinkedIn. If not, subscribe, message one of the guys, whatever you prefer to do. So
exactly.
Thank you for inviting us.
And don't forget to hit the bell to get notified when the next episode is released.
Exactly. Maybe Joan should host the podcast from now on. But yeah, That's it.
Share.
That's
I
it.
Share
can
this
do
podcast.
everything. If you want, I can have four cameras and look to each one depending the role I'm doing.
Yeah,
Like host, talk one, talk to speaker one, speaker two.
that would be
Public.
amazing. That would be amazing. But yeah, that's it for today, guys. Well, I'll catch you next time in our next topic.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.